what does Maharaj mean by Linga Deha? It is the seed, the chemical, the product of the 5 elemental essences which give rise to and sustain the consciousness I am. Just like the seed of a tree. That seed latently contains all future manifestations and expressions of the tree that will sprout out of that seed. You take a fountain pen, and on the paper, you put a drop of ink. So that drop is the Linga Deha. That drop is the moment of conception. Its expression is the thought-free state, like space in the knowingness state. That is the quality of knowingness. Space-like. There is no concept. But its expression is the physical, tangible. Just imagine it is infinitesimal, but its expression is manifest infinity. Foreigners understand, but when the Indians come, they listen to the talks, but they are still attached to all their bodily relatives. At Linga Deha level, when you worship your Guru, you are the expression of Guru in so many ways. You will be experiencing so many things at such a level, but all that has emanated out of you only, out of your love and devotion for Guru, and finally, as you evolve, all those expressions merge in you. This is very important. This is the consummation of devotion or Saguna Bhakti. That Linga Deha, that little drop, the knowledge I am, is the same. What we see is the manifest world which appears in that speck of consciousness. As sweetness is the nature of sugar, so this speck of consciousness is the nature of that drop of Linga Deha. The parents, the source of the Linga Deha, are merely an excuse for preparing that which was conceived. Your true state was there before the body and consciousness arose, is there now, and will be there after the body and consciousness go. Somebody may challenge what I am saying. I have never had any doubt about what you are or who you are, because I have understood my true state, what I am. I know you are. Some people will spread this illumination, but it will be the foreigners, not the Indians. At a later date, people will question, was there really such a person who expounded knowledge in this way? There is no duality between the Guru and the Bhakta. In that which is, there is no duality. Has never been any duality. The word Bhakta means devotion, but in actuality it indicates togetherness. One only, unity. The flame of devotion lights my way. Who speaks about that flame? When we talk, we don't talk about a person, but about that dynamic, manifest flame, I am. That is not extinguishable. Who says that? I believe that. Because it is your belief, is it right? I have no proof. You are running. Who talks about the proof? With your faith, whatever you are worshipping and devoted to, that you will get. The trouble about your spirituality is that you are listening only to that knowledge about Ishvara, which is useful to an entity. You are collecting all that knowledge as a man, an entity. This is a temporary phase of your emotions or sentiments. No person will be able to conserve his personality or his identity forever. That guiding principle is not a person. Nowadays, I don't expound any theme of spirituality. I don't even talk. But still, why the attraction which brings you here? With this, I develop my encumbrances. I have nothing to gain in this bargain except these encumbrances. Do you know the ingredients of that personality? Unless you get to know that fully, you will not go beyond. What about my desires, my needs? You are in need of yourself. Is there any involvement between my desires and the raw material? Plenty of involvement. Out of the interaction and play of the 5 elements, this food body is available. In that, the fragrance and taste is the knowledge I am. Now you find out what is the indication that you are in this food body. Would fasting help me to find myself? Not at all. That I amness is the very expression of the food. Suppose you want to find sweetness. Sweetness is the quality of sugar. If you reject sugar, where's the sweetness? Then I always have to go outside myself to food to get this taste? Can you get the food from inside? The supply comes from outside. I have always been led to believe that this sense of presence did not depend on the body. That is the essence of spirituality, and now you tell me the opposite. Therefore, understand this mystery itself. Where does the world exist? It exists in this speck of consciousness, and this consciousness can only exist if there is food. Whatever life you are living, you are only entertaining a concept. Find out, is there such a thing as an individual? Think it over. If the entertainment of the experience is easy, if it pleases you, you call it happiness. If not, you call it unhappiness. The feeling that you are, the sense of presence, what has caused it to come about? Think on it. Everything is happening because I am. Will you be able to retain this understanding always? Just for the moment, and then the identification comes back. It's a long way to get the understanding stabilized that everything is happening because I am. Now, for how many days will you be in India? I have only a few days here. It is not important where you are. Once you are established in the I am, it is like space. It neither comes nor goes. Just as when you demolish the walls of a building, only space remains. My personality or individuality is thrown to the winds. It is no more there. What you are visiting is only the Dukkha Bhagavan, the god of sorrow. Bhagavan is a manifestation, but sorrow only. It is not involved in thought or activities. It is just the manifestation. I am the total functioning, and whatever in the functioning at the moment has certain significance, that I am. It is only by taking the aid of this consciousness, which is suffering, that I am talking. This kind of experience happens only to a very rare one. Don't ask anything, just listen. This consciousness, this manifestation, this functioning has no shape, form, or color. Would Maharaj explain more about Dukkha Bhagavan? Dukkha means pain, suffering, agony. Bhagavan means not only God, it is indicative of explosiveness. A flash, an explosive flash, world perception, with the appearance of I amness. When there is an explosion of fireworks, there is a crashing sound, a flash of light and lighting up the surrounding area. Similarly, I am explodes into being, and the whole perceptible universe is conjured up. But consciousness, the I amness, gives rise to inadequacy, imperfection, and therefore the beginning of sorrow, misery, etc., and the settling into body-mind sense, from perfect to imperfect, from no being to being, in the reverse direction, from body-mind to beingness to absolute, then the consciousness state is a godly state. Why is there so much pain and unhappiness in this world? Because you are always in search of happiness. Happiness and unhappiness are interrelated. If you do not have unhappiness, how would you recognize happiness? I am that which represents the absence of what is seen. If you try to accommodate what I say within this concept that you are a human being, it cannot be done. In spite of listening to all I have said, most of you will continue to identify yourself as a body, and you will look on me as an individual. But I am not that. My real presence is the absence of the phenomena that you see. My sleep is not the kind you have. It is pure consciousness. When I sleep, there is awareness of total manifestation and also the unmanifest. There is no distinction between an individual and the total universe. You think that I am ill, but that is because you identify me with the body. I consider this illness as an extraordinary state which comes to the lot of a rare one so long as the individuality exists in the form of a body. But the importance of that is impossible to describe. That state is full of suffering. Nevertheless, it is full of significance, and it comes to a rare one. The question of what one is comes only in manifestation in comparison with other phenomena. In my state, there is no phenomenon. My existence is prior to any manifestation. There is no question of who or what I am. Would Maharaj repeat what was said earlier about that state where there is no phenomenon? Once it is said, it is gone. The correct way of listening is to concentrate on the words which reveal your own identity. Forget all other things. You arrive at your identity as that state which was prior to words. Words cannot satisfy that. This consciousness, because of which everything else is itself merely the light of that which is, a reflection of that which is. The average person who considers himself a seeker worships the various concepts, not his true being. Would Maharaj talk some more about the state which was prior to consciousness? What is the point? Anything you can think of that state is only a concept, and that concept will last only so long as the consciousness is there. Only the experiencer remains, unsmeared by any experiences, even the experience of remaining. I am nothing, but how dare I talk like this? Because I know none of the experiences have remained with me. You will not find anyone so blunt as I. Everyone is concerned with these experiences from birth to death, but no one gives any thought to that state before experiencing began. One who has a clear understanding of this consciousness cannot attach any importance to any experience. I want to give up this identity with the body. I want to find out who I am. How do I go about it? If you do not have the knowledge I am, who is going to seek? You must be, only then can the search begin. Remember the knowledge I am. That alone pervades everything. Be that only. Give up the rest. When I think I am, then immediately come thoughts of the things that I am. I know that comes from the mind. Before you think, you are. In the space, all movement happens. For any appearance or any movement, the space must be there. For the question, who am I? There is no reply, but you may reply any way you like. You can give it any name or title you like. People do not go to the root meaning of whatever is heard or read. They just repeat, parrot-like. I take a serious objection to people just reciting the bhajans, parrot-like. How many people have understood the meaning of certain couplets sung at bhajans? The sun and the moon are reflections of that very principle I am. Spirituality is open, and at the same time, it is a misery. Because you are all the worlds the universe is. This is your reflection. If you want to know what you are, that is all given in the bhajans. If you close your eyes and almost forget yourself half asleep, that is exactly what you are. But if you want to take a glimpse, the first vision that you get is that deep blue space that is the very idol of beauty, the image of beauty. Very often I have elucidated this point, but rarely has anyone been able to catch what I am driving at. At bhajans, I used to stress certain couplets by shouting loudly, but nobody understood what I was doing. I was stressing certain couplets so that people would go deeper into the meaning of it, but they were only shouting louder. Not only was I loudly stressing that particular line, but I used to repeat it. I was inspired to shout those lines at the top of my voice. You are that speck of consciousness, and out of that the entire cosmos is created. I was deeply devoted to the singing of bhajans because it was providing all the spiritual nourishment. Whenever I used to strike the profound meaning of a particular bhajan, I used to dance in the room. I have all the exuberance to dance and sing now, but there is no energy. After that, I never went to any sage or saint. However many sages and saints visited me, but unfortunately I did not meet anybody who considered the sun and the moon and the universe as their expression. Such a sage I did not come across. Although I do not know Marathi, I have felt the deeper meaning of the bhajans intuitively. Many people do bhajans here, but they are not able to grasp the deeper meaning. Many of the foreigners are able to catch the deeper meaning. You, the foreigners, have that advantage, because all of you who are interested in this and were in your previous incarnation the army of the great incarnation Rama, followers of Rama, so you were already blessed at that time. In further incarnations you migrated to the east. You are more at home in this place than the Indians are. Foreigners recognize me, but people in the street don't know me because that great Rama blessed all his army, all his followers at that time. I admire the foreigners. Not only do they come thousands of miles to be here, but they spend so much money to stay in Bombay. Unless there were that deep urge, we would not come. That is your very destiny. In that chemical which you are, that urge is already planted therein. You people come here and sit, with determination, to get what you want. Therefore, I have great respect and great regard for you. Treat the body like a visitor or guest which just come and will go. You must know your position as a host very clearly, while the guest is still here. What is the exact nature of the host after the guest leaves must be realized while the guest is present. Have you understood? Give me some idea of that position in which you will find yourself when this body guest leaves. There is no identity. Good. Is this a firm conviction? Yes, in meditation. What is the significance of the guest? The sign. As soon as the guest comes, there is a sense of identity as a host. The sense of presence I amness is the sign of the guest. Are your answers out of deep conviction? Yes. Then there is no need to come tomorrow. It is only in deep meditation that I know it. Do you accept completely the knowledge that you do not exist? There are moments in meditation when I really feel the conviction. It is not a firm conviction if it is not there all the time. When one is very sleepy, just at the point of going into deep sleep, at that point he wants nothing else except to go to sleep. Similarly, at that last moment, when the breath is leaving, there is also a moment of ecstasy. At that point, when the life force and consciousness leave, there is that moment of ecstasy, that last moment of knowing. One who has thoroughly apprehended this is a jnani, to whom there is no question of birth or death. Even if you hear this and think it is true, the conceptualizing will not stop. Already some concept has begun in you. Whatever I have told you now is only about that speck of I amness. Would Maharaj tell us more about the moment of death? Nothing more can be said about it. It is the culmination or termination of the self-experience I am. After the termination of I amness, there is no experience of knowingness or not knowingness. The knowingness is the quality of the material stuff. What did you know prior to your birth? Similarly, after death, this instrument is missing. Without the body, there is no experience. Eternity has no birth and no death, but a temporary state has a beginning and an end. Even when the consciousness goes, you prevail. You always are, as the Absolute. As the consciousness, you are everything. Whatever is you. All this knowledge has dawned on me. I am not that knowledge, the knowledge I am. and all its manifestations are understood. In understanding, I am not that. The only knowledge you will get here is knowledge of the self. It will not help you make a living in the world. Do you have any idea of what your true nature is? Since you have understood what you are not, you should no longer be concerned with what you are not. Is that clear? Yes. You still have an idea of what you are, but even that image must be totally erased, so that there is no idea of any entity, any identification. Now that you think you have understood what you are, what use will you make of the consciousness? Any use of the consciousness will be for others. The grace of the Guru is necessary in order to understand. The grace is always there, but the receptivity must be there to accept that grace. One must have the firm conviction that what is heard here is the absolute truth. Instead of becoming impregnated with what I give you, to the extent that you are one with it, you merely accept it, put it in your pocket, and keep on using concepts which you have accumulated already. None of you will really understand what I am. You have your own concepts of me. I have understood with the intellect. What can I do to realize it? There is nothing you as an entity can do. That which has taken root will by itself flower into intuitive understanding. This understanding will take some time. Is this not a concept? The very concept is a hazard. When my Guru told me what the position is, I listened and said, "Oh, this is how it is." And that was that, the end of it. If there are no more questions, I will close the session. I'm not here to keep a watch over you. If you really understand what has been said, there is no reason to come again, and if you can't understand, then what is the use of continuing? On occasion, there is a spontaneous feeling of universal love. Is this based on the body-mind, or is it something else? Total love is the very nature of consciousness. When this feeling arises, there is nothing you can do. How can one embrace the entire ocean? What is the relation between consciousness and the intellect? Intellect is the expression of consciousness. We understand and apperceive everything through the intellect only. Things to be done must be done. Things to be understood must be understood. Things to be done are normally your present worldly life, and these you must carry out. In spirituality, you have to understand there is no question of doing. In spirituality, there is no name and form. Name and form are necessary for your practical worldly life. The one who understands that name and form are not his identity is in spirituality. Presently, you are still drawn towards name and form. Your identity in the phenomenal world as name and form is temporary, a passing show, and anything relating to name and form is not going to remain. One who understands spirituality through various concepts will be caught up in a vicious circle. If you are caught up in concepts, you will be caught up in the circle of concepts. Rebirth, reincarnation, these are all concepts. If you are caught up in these concepts, you are bound to have them. Out of concepts, the forms are created, such as buildings, etc. Originally, you make a plan. You have a concept. The concept is born out of you, and you give it a concrete shape. But it remains a concept. With the experience of so-called birth, you are caught up in the cycle like the picture on the TV screen. All this life happening is something like a cinema. You must have observed daily that situations are constantly changing. That is the quality or expression of your identity with the body-mind. It is the consciousness that is playing about, and in that manifest consciousness, all these various faces and bodies are playing about. You are not these faces and bodies. You are the consciousness out of which the words are now flowing. Just as the play you see on the TV or cinema screen is not real, similarly this play is also not real. For Jnani, all the play is unreal. I am not going to give you solutions to your family problems. I am telling you how this worldly life is not. After listening to these talks, you still want to gain some profit for yourself. That is a pity. How astonishing it is. In spite of my discouraging you from coming here, still you come here. How does it happen? Without making demands, we see the dream. Why do we see the dream? Because in deep sleep, the consciousness wakes up spontaneously. And because it woke up, it manifests itself in certain visions. Just like that, this also. You're visiting this place. I'm not talking to you for my advantage, nor are you listening for your advantage. All this language is sprouting spontaneously in a dreamlike state. I always try to direct you towards the truth, but you come here with a bundle of conceptual sticks and stones, and instead of listening to what I say, you play with the sticks and stones on me. Right now, think of that last moment when the body will go. At that time, what identity are you going to quit? This is a fraud. Everything is fraudulent, just like a dream world. What is the primary cause? What was the crime? The crime was that this consciousness started feeling conscious. The mischief started. Whether you like it or don't like it, I am going to place before you the factual state of affairs. You know you are, but it is imaginary. You think you are, but it is a fraud. Whatever the nature of the beingness and its behavior, it is not your behavior. When you abide in your true identity, you are out of this mischievous dream world. I have placed before you what you are. All of you have the fear that you are going to die, that this consciousness is going to depart. All the expressions are the expressions of the food essence body, not you. Sweetness or pungency are the expressions of the food. You cannot conserve or preserve them. In the same way, this I amness is a quality or expression of the food essence body, and you cannot retain it forever. I am amazed and astonished that you are sitting here. The talk is emanating from a state where there are no words. What identity do you think you have? How to establish oneself firmly in the awareness of I am? Does one think I am? I am? Is it necessary to think that you are sitting here? You know that you are sitting here. However loudly and often I urge you not to think and act in terms of an entity identified with the body, you keep on doing so. Whatever name and form there is belongs to that material, and that material is not you. Do you analyze the problem and with a firm conviction decide that you are not the material? When the material disintegrates, what does the name refer to? Does it have any significance? Only 1 in 10 million goes to the crux of the matter, analyzes what is, comes to a conclusion, and gets liberated all by himself. The one who gets liberated is the consciousness. There is no entity. The ultimate understanding is that which enables the understanding to take place, and itself becomes so subtle, so fine, that it disappears. And when this consciousness arises again, then the samadhi is broken and this I amness starts again. The words come from the consciousness, and the consciousness needs the strength of the body. The strength of the body is gradually weakening, and therefore the words do not come out as freely as I would like. Spending great energy, I repeat and repeat, but how many have understood? Basically, the thing is so simple that I get frustrated when you keep on coming here, listen to what I say, and show no indication the words have reached home. What is the birth principle? You have understood or you have not understood. If you have understood, why do you keep on coming? If you have not understood, why do you keep on coming? Maharaj, I just like being here with you. That is a different thing. But have you really imbibed what I want you to understand? We come here with so many concepts, and what you are teaching is so astounding that it is like a shock treatment. So how do you expect us to ask questions? Let us absorb the shock for some time, then the questions will come. We are stunned into silence. Those who come here and listen to my talks and understand will become the gurus when they return to their own countries. It is so easy to understand. Why don't you understand? At the present time, in manifestation, what you are is consciousness. And the consciousness cannot remain unless the food body is there. Therefore, consciousness depends on the food body, which is essentially of an ephemeral nature, and I cannot be that. It's as simple as that. Why don't you understand? It must happen that the consciousness is no longer conscious of itself. The sweetness and the sugar, and I am the one who understands and tastes the sweetness. All these spiritual concepts have come in conventionally. The last step is knowingness. In its ultimate state is no knowingness. Transcending consciousness is when the consciousness knows and understands the consciousness. This morning, between deep sleep and awakening, there was this quiet for the fraction of a moment, when there was a complete knowing, stillness, just beingness. It is quite an elevated state, but don't get caught up only in that. Deep sleep is something like a block of ice. Nothing is there. Now it is again reshaping. The warmth is taking place. And with that warmth, you feel that you are. In the playing of the flute, the whole world is fascinated. The consciousness has kept you entranced in the play of the world. Inquire about that flute and who is playing it. Go to the source. When you are living this life, a number of questions arise, and we have to be constantly aware of the consciousness, but the mind won't let us. The mind is an instrument for communication for practical purposes. The mind cannot grasp the truth. The self witnesses the mind, and the mind cannot catch hold of the self. When a clear understanding takes place of the nature and function of consciousness, that understanding no longer needs consciousness, because that understanding becomes the knower of consciousness. Is it possible to function as the total manifestation, not as an individual? What do you understand to be the total manifestation and individual? What is manifestation? I am the manifestation. I, the absolute, unmanifested, am the same I manifested. Consciousness is the expression of the absolute. They are not two. If my life gives me great satisfaction and happiness, why should I bother about what or who I am? This consciousness will not rest until it gets the answer. This consciousness cannot bear its own existence, cannot bear its own consciousness. It wants to go back to its own place of rest. I am not inclined to discuss with words. You people come here with steadfastness. Diligently you come here and sit. If you have such a liking, you are welcome. My teaching is very simple. The experiencer and the experiences are all fancies. When you are a young person, you like all the activities of a young person very much. You get very involved in them. Once youth goes, you are disinterested in the activities of a young person. Similarly, as long as you are wearing this concept I am, you will be involved with all the concepts. When this concept I am departs, there will be no memory left that I was and I had those experiences. The very memory will be erased. Before you are completely liquidated, while there are some traces left of you, it would be better to quit this place. You may not come across these teachings in such great detail and at this level. This lady has piled up a lot of knowledge. She possesses stacks of it. But in due course she will not only forget whatever she has piled up, but she will forget herself, that she was. Is a self-realized person always in a state of bliss? One who has transcended the body idea does not need the ananda, bliss. When you didn't have experience of the body, you were in that blissful state. That state which is prior to your birth cannot be described as deep sleep. It is beyond that. The experience of the jnani is the same as your state prior to birth. It is a complete state. How can I be that? You are in that state all the time prior to having the body, but you are confused because of the body consciousness. The body is there. Don't ask questions, just listen. You need the company of the sages to understand what I am saying. This knowledge cannot be understood by the intellect. Is there Satchitananda in the eternal state? The food essence is sattva. The quality of that is consciousness, and inside that is the Satchitananda, being consciousness bliss. The eternal state is prior to that. I have read in the books that the main reason to be born is your own desire to be born. How can it fit in with the state before birth? Your birth is the result of the desire of your parents. How can I get released from bondage? There is no bondage at all. Bondage is imaginary. If you are oriented towards the consciousness, all your questions will be dissolved by yourself. What is the obstacle to my realizing this? The only bondage is your constant memory that you are the body. Without understanding fully what Maharaj is, still people come here. Why is that? That is the union of knowledge and that principle which transcends knowledge. There is attraction between these two. That is why people from all over the world come here. I am intangible. You cannot add to me or take away from me. I am full, complete in all respects. Whatever you do to me, you will have to suffer yourself. If you are angry with me, you have to suffer. If you do anything to me, it will rebound upon you. If you spit at the sky, the spit will fall on you only. What is the material world created from? Out of the manifest consciousness, the material world is created. The eternal Parabrahman, the eternal Brahman in which this play is always going on. In that play, you are the total. No separate identity arises. And the body is the taste of I am. When the body is gone, the taste is gone. When you have some problem, you refer to a book. Why don't you investigate yourself? Find out what you are. In this place of the five elements, whatever is seen or experienced is merely enjoyment. And for this enjoyment or entertainment, mind is very necessary. What are Brahma, Vishnu, and the other gods? They are merely appearances in consciousness. Each appearance has its own duration. That duration may be for millions of years, but they are all appearances and have an allotted span of existence. The knower of that knowledge is not affected in any way by the individual hopes, fears, etc. The unmanifest ever exists, but this manifest knowingness arises and departs. Presently, I do not have any individuality. What is available is only the consciousness for the expression of which this material instrument is available. This consciousness is not a very desirable thing. It is an imperfect state. There is no reason or law of cause and effect for the functioning of this universal consciousness. Why something happens at a particular time cannot be explained in this dualistic state. We can only watch the functioning and cannot ask for any reason for any functioning which takes place. If we had the choice of taking on this body, consciousness, who would be foolish enough to accept it? It is only because there has been no choice. Everything has been spontaneous. The suffering also has to be taken on because it is part of the total functioning. And there is no entity who can pick and choose. There is no individuality left. Nevertheless, so long as this body is part of the total functioning, whatever comes in the total functioning has to be suffered. There is any amount of suffering in the total functioning. This body is one of the millions of forms, and the share of this body from the total suffering has to be experienced. I'm trying to understand this. You're hanging on to an entity that is trying to understand. All of this is simply for the sake of communication. Who is an entity trying to understand what? You are carrying on a lot of activities because of certain concepts you entertain, to satisfy the concepts that have arisen spontaneously in you. All this process of communication, expounding, etc., will go on so long as this conscious presence is available. And all this merely to satisfy the concept of I am, and you, the Absolute, are not the primary concept I am. I am telling you all this, and probably you like it, you enjoy it. But it is almost impossible for you to assimilate or perceive what I am saying. I am sure you have not understood exactly what I am saying. These are two great personalities, legal pundits. By coming here and listening to my talks, how can they put to use their legal knowledge? The disciple is devoted to the guru. Is this not duality? In the world, duality always exists. Manifestation can only take place in duality because of the identification with the body-mind. If the guru and the disciple are not identified with the body, where does the question of duality arise? The people and the guru are only knowledge, and there is no form or design to knowledge. We have accepted that we are not the body, that we were never born and cannot die. But it seems that something is missing. What is it? Give me a sample of the one who has heard and accepted. I assume that those who listen to me are knowledge. An animal exists only to appease the hunger. Is it all that you are here for? There must be a change in you after listening to me all these days. One has to know that one is not the form but the consciousness, which gives sentience to the form. Has this change really occurred? The guru explains that the attachment to the guru is also a concept, how to get rid of it. The sadhaka wants to pay his respects to the guru all the time. This is initial stage talk. Duality is there. The sadhaka considers guru as something other than himself, so he wants to pay his respects. The sadhaka is also a guru, a jnani. There is no difference. I am still doing this puja for my guru. It has to be maintained for the guidance of others. Unless you have respect and love for a guru, the process of your becoming concept-free will not be hastened. If you understand what I say, only then do you come here. If nobody comes, I will not be unhappy. Whatever must happen has already happened. Would realization be possible by hearing the truth from the guru, or is there any other way? No, only with the grace and guidance of the guru. The guru is the one who knows totally what is qualitative Brahman and non-qualitative, what is mundane matter and what is spiritual matter. You are holding on to all these things you have heard here as concepts. You don't try to be that. You like knowledge as a concept. Maharaj has said that the inner guru is more important than the outer guru. In the initial stages, you must have an external guru. That guru initiates you with the inner guru. What are the mantras for that? A mantra is indicative of the aim or object in you. I am a physician, and I sometimes get attached to my patients and involved in their problems. Sometimes I can be detached and not feel involved, but my patients are like warriors with their problems and try to get me involved. Sometimes I feel like running away. This is the knowledge of your concepts. This is not your knowledge. To feel that you are involved in the world is a concept. To feel like running away is a concept. If a person is sincere and wants self-realization more than anything else in the world, is it easier for him if he goes away by himself and thinks of nothing but that? Not at all. It is not that you are going to acquire something externally. The knowledge that you are is already there. Only understand that. This is all the play of concepts. Even to think that I am going to get the knowledge or I have got the knowledge is still a concept. Prior to getting the knowledge, whatever is, that is the truth. When someone asks Maharaj a very difficult question, where does the answer come from? Out of the question comes the answer. With every question, the replies are attached.